Right, first game, RDU starts with the Rogue. Wait, is that the Rogue? Yes, that should be the Rogue for RDU, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see, might be also Strifecro, because he runs a Rogue as well, which is interesting. Yesterday when we talked, everyone had a consensus, apart from RDU, basically, in Strifecro, that Rogue is not a good deck anymore. But here you see in the lineup, you have two of those. Strifecro starts with the Jade Idol, so that means the Rogue is on RDU's side. Actually, that's a good, really good opening hand for RDU now. With the Tomb Pillager on turn 3, he's able to play the Barnes afterwards and still keep the coin when the Tomb Pillager dies. So that means he has a lot of options when it comes to upcoming turns, because he always wants to keep one coin for a Gadget and Auctioneer. And also the game plan here will be to keep Conceal for the Questioning Adventurers and just battle the game with bigger minions than the Jade Druid has. So, come on, what do you think about this matchup?
I think Radu is in a good spot here because he can play turn 3, 4, 5 minion, and that's always good in the Rogue. Especially because Strifecro had to go like 3 mana off. He just used Hero Power and the Jade last turn.
Oh my god, you got an Auctioneer out of Barnes. But that kind of changes some stuff, because now he got the counterfeit coin, so I understand why he went with the Barnes first instead of the Tomb Pillager. And actually it turns out great.
Yeah, so his only concern is Strifecro having a swipe, but he's just going for the cycle. Why not?
Yeah, when you have a free Auctioneer and you can just numb down the deck to 20 cards basically on turn 3, oh, that's an amazing opportunity. And if your opponent doesn't have a swipe but turn 5, which is off curve as well, you basically almost win the game, because your opponent has to deal with Auctioneer. That's a 1/1 Auctioneer, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even if he has the swipe, he has to go off curve most likely, because he played Raven Idol yet. And you can still open the board again.
That's true.
Which is perfectly fine.
Now look at that. The Auctioneer is still alive. It's turn 4. He has an Auctioneer on board. Although, basically now he has few options. He can either go for a cycle with the spells, but I don't believe there's an option, since your opponent still needs to deal with the Auctioneer.
Yeah.
There's still the 1/1 Auctioneer that makes your opponent play off curve, because now he has to use 2 mana to use his hero power. That leaves him with few options, because basically there's only one 4 mana drop apart from Fandral in usual Jade Golems Druid. So and that is Jade Spirit, right? The Jade Spirit will be a 2/3 with a 3/3 on top, which is not a problem to the board state from RDU. So he doesn't really he's not being intimidated by that. So he just goes for Tomb Pillager and hopes to make his opponent play off curve.
Yeah, he's in a really good spot, because every time in this matchup you can just play your creatures on curve, and you establish board control. You're so far ahead. Yeah, on top he got like the Gadget and Auctioneer. Now it's gone, but still, like it's kind of awkward, because Strifecro used the hero power I think 3 times now.
Yeah.
Which is just a waste of mana, but he had to do it.
That's true. There were no other options, basically. It's either you take 7 damage twice from the Barnes with the Cold Blood, or you just kill the Auctioneer, right? And I mean, you either do that or you kill one or the other. He didn't have an option to kill both in the same turn, and that was disastrous actually for him, both when it comes to mana development in 2 turns in a row, and also decision making, because it wasn't easy, that's for sure.
Yeah, but Barnes off the top, and that's a good turn, right?
Yep, double Boulder Cry for 4 and a 5/5 for 0 mana basically. Makes it awkward now for RDU. No saps for him, no Conceal. A Conceal would have been a blessing, because he could have just go with the Questing Adventurer, conceal that, play still maybe an agent on top, or just Shadow Strike to one of the big guys. This is basically Shadow Strike deals now with the taunt minion, so he's able to kill. Jesus Christ, what's his name?
Jade Behemoth.
Yes, the Jade Behemoth then trade with the 2/4, and still have 5 mana maximum. But for 5 mana, I don't think I don't believe you actually need to play any more spells apart maybe from Tomb Pillager.
Well, why not Abyss on the 5/5?
Well, you have the Acid Drake right now open, but at the same time, I feel like you need to develop minions first. So he goes for the Questing Adventurer, and that means he's able to play the Abyss. On top of that, the Questing Adventurer unfortunately becomes a 5/5. So I don't. 6/6. Never mind that. Yeah. With a 6/6, actually, it's a way better decision now because it's not in range of another hero power.
Yeah, the damn hero power.
Yeah.
Strifecro likes it in this game. Yeah, it's a perfect spot. He can establish board control, clear off the big minions, only the 4/4 is left, and especially he can clear off Bran in a good trade.
That's true. And now that was also a good read by RDU because he was paying attention to what was being played from the hand and when. There was a single removal played like Wrath, Living Roots, so they were not in hand. So basically, there was only a top deck chance for Strifecro to have a way of dealing the additional damage. And now it's even more awkward for Strifecro. He had his option either to go for another top deck with the Acid Drake and maybe try to deal with the Questing Adventurer, or just go for a bigger board, which probably is a better option. But now, look at that, Tomb Pillager into SI7, which deals with the Jade Spirit. And now is the question: do you trade with the 6/6 or just 8 damage to the face?
You have Leroy in hand, right?
Yeah, I believe when going to the face is a good option here. Although, as said before, he didn't have a removal, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can trade here. Oh, that's a good pickup. You can exactly play a Zoodrake and swipe and clear off the Questioning Adventurer. Yeah, on top, yeah. He misses 1 mana. He could clear the board otherwise.
So if RDU wouldn't trade, then still there will have to be a trade from Strifecro with the 6/6 into Questing Adventurer to make it disappear.
Yeah.
He lost 8 damage in the process, but I think it was a close call.
It's a close call because you have Leroy in hand, and that means you can push for damage, but you also have Edwin in hand. That means you can push for board. So both ways are possible here, in my opinion.
13 cards in the deck, still to 2 Auctioneers. And now Audio is thinking, do I play the coin for a buff, 2/2 buff on the Edwin, or do I keep it for Auctioneer? I think if you want to win this game, because now you're getting outvalued by the Jade Golems, I think you really need to wait for the Auctioneer, especially with the Sap in hand, because that means that you can still play another 2 mana spell next turn if you get it. So you can coin after Gazetan, play Sap on one of the minions that will get played, and you still have a chance of getting, well, second Sap basically, or use 2 Eviscerates, so he still has a chance to use maybe a Cold Blood, another one. Some options are there.
Yeah, and we've already seen one get an Auctioneer, but it was out of Barns, so there are still 2 left. And 14 cards left in the deck, so he's possibly able to cycle soon.
So now the Sap acts like that. Steal your opponent's turn, basically. There's the Cold Blood. So that's
so
6, 10, 16 damage, and you can just... You can also wait for the Leroy next turn, just not to spawn 1/1 minions. But no, you don't really need to wait to, because you have the hero power.
Yeah. I wonder if he's playing Coin Cold Blood,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
like in this situation, he knows that the only card in Strifecro's hand is the Jade Golem. So there's no way, unless he top decks a Mulch, that he can actually deal with the 10/6.
Yeah, and even then he's going down to 1 HP.
Yeah, exactly. So, kind of tough. Kind of tough for Strifecro, and even worse, the Jade Golem is now for 7 mana. So You play it for
Yes.
3 mana, but you have to replay it for 7.
And 7 mana for a 7/7 isn't too good anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't
walk
create the
away,
boom bots on the sides, so
Yes.
it's not really a good card
No
anymore.
boom bots here.
So what are the outs for Strifecro? If he goes for the draw with the ref,
He has
there's
to, right?
there's the if he plays mulch in his deck, then that's an out.
He
Other
could
than
also
that,
get another taunt.
yes, a behemoth might be another option.
1 is left.
Maybe he plays Ancient of War.
Yeah, maybe like the big tree is. Plant a tree.
Fandral is not it. And that's basically it.
Yeah, I think
Game
he's
1 goes for RDU.
another hero power, and yeah.
This one is a Sudoku this time.
Yes.
So good start for RDU. Went with the rogue. He was praising the deck yesterday
Yeah.
when we were talking. Kind of no one believed him, but it seems like it's doing work. So Questing Adventure is actually a really good card in this metagame.
Actually, yes. I'm not too sure. I think he's playing only 1, but
Mhm.
I'm not too sure. And I also like the list of Oskaka, which is playing no questioning adventures, so both ways are possible here. And what else is he playing? Sinister Strike? Like no, he's playing Shadow Strike.
You mean
once.
Oskaka?
No,
RDU doesn't play Sinister Strike.
no, Shadow Strike.
Yes,
Yeah,
Shadow Strike.
Strike.
So in this
But
case,
I think also only
Mhm.
once, right?
oh, I would believe so. Probably makes no sense to play 2, but in this case, I think there's a justification to play 2 questing adventures, especially if he's aiming to play against druids and warlocks, because the card is just nuts in those matchups, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we'll have to see. Patch is drawn by Strifecro in the opening hand.
That's bad, but Totem Golem on the other hand,
Yeah.
quite a good card against it.
Kind of makes up to it a
Ooh.
little bit, but look at that.
These
RDU
Edwins.
can go all in, and you know what's the problem for Strifecro here? Is that RDU knows which list Strifecro plays, and there's no hex in that list.
Yeah, that's that's bad if you face Edwin. And by the way, do we know what classes are banned? Because we can't see it in the overlay. I think both players banned the Warrior, but I'm not too sure. Here.
I'm 100% sure that RDU banned the Warrior,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure about Strifecro. And by the way, the classes are switched because RDU has Rogue, not
Yeah,
Strifecro.
exactly. Yeah, maybe we can fix it in the overlay.
Okay, so Spirit Close on turn 2 just to fill the mana curve on turn 2 because of the overload. Which makes it kind of awkward to play the Edwin with the backstab, because backstab basically used as a free, 0 mana damage. But this the Shadow Strike makes up to it.
Yeah,
Here we go.
it's only 6/6.
Only a 6/6, but
Only
now
6/6
how
turn
do you deal
3?
with a 6/6 on turn 3 exactly? And then Strifecro would need to play Lava Burst and attack into it,
Yes.
which is possible, and it was turn 3, so there would have been a slight, possibility of RTU playing Backstab into Sap instead of the Shadow Strike. But at the same time, I don't blame him for using the Shadow Strike because it fits the preparation well. It's free mana basically, and you also get to keep both Sap and the Backstab, which are very potent in this matchup as well.
Yeah, especially because you need the step for the 4 drop, the 7/7. And Backstab is also a really good card against all the pirates and stuff like that. And you're the slower deck, so if your opponent spends his turn 3 just to blow his Lava Burst into your minion and take face damage, and next turn he's overloaded, he can most likely only hero power, that's perfectly fine.
Yep. So now RDU has a really tough decision to make. Do I want to sap a 1-drop? Basically, he spends more mana than his opponent. The thing is that he is basically what the sap would do is play around any overload cards that can help Strifecro make a comeback. But at the same time, I feel like his hand is just so weak. RDU's hand is so weak that he needs to preserve some cards. Because you cannot push the damage after you kind of try to still have some hits from the Edwin.
Yeah, I think he's just going for my opponent might just be able to remove it anyhow, even if I trade or not, and so I can play Azure Drake and Backstab next turn and kill it off. And that's exactly what happened.
Alright, now RDU is still on the board. But Strifecro, I'm wondering if he plays Rockbiters, and I'm guessing he is because he's playing a Doomhammer as well. Otherwise, it wouldn't make much sense, right? The Doomhammer is a card that is like a nemesis of every single rogue. It just deals
Yes.
16 damage if you have enough time, because not a single rogue nowadays plays a taunt minion or heals. So basically, it's like, wow, that's tons of damage. It's a truck of damage. So basically, if you get to play it alongside a one Rockbiter weapon, the game is almost over. But now, in this case, RDU is actually dictating the tempo and the damage. So if he's able to just sustain board position and just deal some small chunks of damage over time, he'll most likely win it.
Yeah, and he's just clearing the board and yeah, developing a 3/3 minion, which might grow with the Doomhammer if it survives that long. But yeah, I don't think that's the case.
Oh, he used the Eviscerate. Now, this is an interesting spot. Because RDU opted for the Eviscerate to kill the Trog instead of sapping it.
Yeah,
Although your opponent is already at 13, right? And you can just deal it, use the Eviscerate as a reach card.
Yeah, but you actually don't need to do it, because the longer the game lasts, the better it is for you, because you have so much card draw in your hand. You have the Zudrek and you have the Auctioneer afterwards. So you don't need to rush, and maybe you fall short afterwards. And I think it's good, because like the Questing Adventure, it's such a big threat, and your opponent is running out of cards as well. So he has to remove it. It's basically a taunt minion here. So I can completely understand this turn.
Well, Strifecro has only one way to deal with it, and that is Argent Horse Rider charge into the Questing Adventurer, then use his last durability point of his Spirit Claws to attack into it, take damage in return, which will set him up on 14, and his Argent Horse Rider will die to the dagger from RDU, which will still have 7 mana to develop his own minions on his turn. So that means Strifecro will be still in the same pickle in the next turn.
And that's so strong, because if you just can replicate the state of the board just one turn later and do something in between, it's always good in Hearthstone.
And now he's still on steady 20 HP.
Yeah, exactly. And as we can see, the coin and the backstab both are for free with the Gargantuan Auctioneer, which means 2 cards.
Not an easy situation for Strifecro.
Yeah.
The Doomhammer doesn't really do much in this situation. There will be the sap target finally for RDU. The Flame Breath Faceless comes down. A potent minion, but it's now too late. Too little, too late. Oh, is that lethal? 6, 10, 11? No.
Not yet.
A counterfeit coin, a new addition to the rogues, kind of makes it less, the deck less consistent, because it even more relies on Gazetan in this case. But when it just hits in the sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. And you can either use it with Gargantuan, so it makes your Gargantuan a little bit better. But also, it's so important in the early game to develop your mid-range minions, like your 4-drops, 5-drops, or like as we've seen it in these days, just an Edwin 10-10.
Yeah. You can actually play it on turn 1 if you have the coin and the counterfeit coin, which creates, just with one card, when you go in second, you can create a 6/6 Edwin on turn 1.
Yeah, or you just to play backstab and
it's
prep
8/8,
and
right? Yeah, and it's nuts.
and emote.
Yeah. Basically, it's like a combo piece that can win you the game instantly in this very specific matchups, or is just a nuts card with Gadsden, right? Backstab, Questing Adventure, and the coin, Shadow Strike. So this is a matchup that is actually favoring Rogue a lot because of the Questing Adventure. So RDU is pretty happy about having it already in hand. He also has his coin. He's going second, so he's an additional coin, which is nuts as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, but now we know they both. No, RDU banned the warrior then.
Yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. As we said, we don't know it the other way around, but I think it was also warrior.
Might have been because why would you basically ban the warrior when you play a warlock yourself? And
Yeah. The thing is, RDU's warrior has Ragnaros, I guess, and Malkorok maybe. I'm not too sure. But Ragnaros itself, it makes the matchup against your Rhinolog like favorite. So
You still need to draw it. That's the thing.
yes.
I mean, the game
And then
the
it
game
needs to
lasts
hit
like
face.
till turn 9 maximum, right? And if you don't draw the Ragnaros in like 10 cards, then you're basically like, I guess I didn't draw the best card in my matchup, right? So
just draw
kinda
patches
sucks.
instead.
yeah, exactly. But look at that. 10-4 Barnes might still happen with an auctioneer. There's still one there. That would have been
just wondering.
kinda neat. Let's see what will happen.
That match would have been a good target for Barnes as well.
That's true. So what are you thinking here? Maybe the questing adventure might come down here, but at the same time, if he would require a conceal this turn, if that would be the case. So,
This guy's toast.
Yeah,
unfortunately, not a good pick.
this guy's toast.
It's just a Yeti split in two, basically. A 3-4 and a 1-1.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the worst case scenario here.
But the upside of playing Barnes is so huge that it's actually worth the play it. Especially getting the auctioneer out of it is complete bonkers.
Yeah, as we've seen.
Yeah.
And-
Imagine this hand, right? You get a free auctioneer. You can use 2 coins, basically, and a backstab just to cycle. But at the same time, you have to take to make the estimate. Do I want to do it? Because I have the questing adventure already in hand, and we know that this is the win condition. Before turn 8, there's almost no option to deal with it if it's concealed. And even without the conceal, the first answer that is usually happening is turn 6, Siphon Soul.
Yeah.
Unless someone is playing the Warlock's Potion, which will be for 4 mana, which can happen.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Alright.
I really like Barnes in this list, as you mentioned, because you have the question adventurers, maybe too. I'm not too sure. I think there are 2 inside now.
You get in, if you play Barnes and Questing Adventure, I think you have to play 2 because it's so nuts.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's insane when you get a Questing Adventure from Barnes as well.
Speaking of insane, just look at this turn.
I mean, in this matchup, actually getting the Questing Adventure would have been twice or 3 times better than getting an Auctioneer.
Yeah. Which isn't bad either, right?
Yeah. That just tells you how much of importance is a Questing Adventure here in this matchup. Because now Strifecro has 6 mana, and he faces a minion that basically will be a better Jade Golem every single turn. And he just ignores it. Holy moly. That means he plans to use the Twisting Nether next turn, and I'm sure that RDU sees that, you know?
Yeah, I think he's aware of that.
So this turn he will not most likely commit too much. Oh, okay. Never mind then.
I think it's fine. You can cycle and then rebuild your board with minions.
Or he's just, you know, playing into your opponent doesn't have it anyway.
Yeah. Most of the time it's just not too bad just to do your thing and hope for the Rhinolog not having answers. At least it was in the past. Nowadays, like, the Rhinologs are so strong and they have so many cards viable that they can just, like, it doesn't matter if they play 1 off or 2 offs.
Not an ideal Twisting Nether for Strifecro because he still had a Dirty Rat in his hand for 1 mana, so next turn he could have actually played the Dirty Rat into Twisting Nether, which would create just better situation for him because he basically kills 1 threat without you know, spending almost anything, right?
Yeah, he trades hand cards. 1 hand card of him versus 1 hand card of the rogue, and it's better because he can just draw cards.
That's true. And now
And
look
the
at
rogue
that.
doesn't play so many minions. This list does play more
Well,
minions.
imagine if you just pull out Leroy Jenkins, right? And your opponent's like, I guess I just lost 6 damage in the process, right? So it's worth it to trade a Dirty Rat for the Leroy Jenkins, or even for an Azure Drake, because the Azure Drake basically takes away the draw situation.
Exactly.
2 Eviscerates, by the way. That's with this board state. That is actually insane amount of damage.
Yeah, he could deal 12 damage.
12 damage already. He still has 1 more Azure Drake in hand, so if he gets another coin, he can actually play with spell damage plus 3. Oh wow, Shifting Zarus for Strifecro. This might be fine.
Shields up.
Shields up.
She's up on the Twilight Drake, which is the maximum size, 410.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we'll see a sap here on
Oh
it.
yeah, definitely. But then the question is, will we see any auto spell? The Eviscerate right now deals 6 damage, which is insane. But at the same time, you know you're playing against a Reno Warlock, so you don't want to commit to the damage
Yeah.
unless you kill your opponent, or you just put him in a spot when he can tap, or you just kind of like almost sure that the opponent doesn't have the Reno Jackson in hand. But the thing is, Strifecro played Emperor on turn 6. He tapped 3 times and still has 8 cards in hand, so you can't really make that estimate yet. So I wouldn't blame RDU for just not using the Eviscerates, or even one Eviscerate this turn.
This guy's
Yeah,
toast.
especially because he has a really good turn here.
I was thinking maybe I would cycling the Falnos first.
I'm not sure if you just push face. Because it's always a good spot if you have board and the Reno is around 15 HP, slightly below, and you have so much damage in your hand.
So I think that's Shadow Rager from the Shifter Zeros right now. 3 mana, 3/1, 5/1 stealth minion, which is not bad for Shadow Flame actually. That's kind of nuts, because now we can deal with the board for 6
Yeah.
mana
The only
and
problem
still play
is
Dirty Red, and that's awesome. Look at that. This turn will be actually probably a downfall for RDU.
yeah, Dirty Red, and oh, it pulls the Drake. So okay,
But still, there will be the Dirty Red on board, and that means RDU, unless he draws a second sap, he's not able to go through that, so the Leroy Jenkins is useless.
yeah, second step would be great because it would be lethal. Then.
MC Tech went to the board as well, but that means Shadow Flame needs to be played on something else. Alright.
Oh,
That
and
used the
that's
entire
it.
board because the spell damage was played from the
Oh damn.
Acid Drake. But there's the sap.
Yeah, so that's lethal.
Wow, okay. Well, sometimes these things will happen and you don't see it coming at all. I mean, Leroy Jenkins double Eviscerate and a sap from the Falnos cycle kind of seals the deal here. 14 damage on turn 9 by RDU. Sweep with Rogue.
Yeah, that was a tough one in the end.
Yeah, RDU goes through the bracket.